Well, welcome back, duelists. We appreciate all of your patience, but we had a little bit of a power outage there. Someone activated system down. It put us in a standby phase, but we managed to red reboot it, and now we can Sky Striker mobilize engage. That one didn't quite work as well, but thank you very much to both Leo and Tom for helping me write this segment. We appreciate all of your patience. Thank you very much. Obviously, we are now going to go straight back into the exact moment where you guys left off in our top 4 feature duel. So I'm going to hand you over to the wonderful commentary trio, Basti, Tom and Leo, who are going to quickly update you on where we are with this duel. Guys, take it away.
Yes, there we are again, guys. It has been a bit of time. Ed has done some fantastic crowd work to keep the masses in this venue entertained, but we are just ready to get back into this game. We are fixing the timer right now, so we are not missing any minutes from this fantastic duel. Tom has built up a big board with the Arise Hut. He has taken away some resources with the Diabloses. We are in Dinh-Kha Bui's turn, and Dinh-Kha is not going to be able to activate a possible evenly match because of the crossout designator.
Yes, now we're updated again. I think the players have waited long enough. They sat there in the dark, but we are back here. We have been enlightened again, and so let's see whether Dinh-Kha Bui finds some enlightenment here in this turn to break this entire field of Tom Kleinegräber, or whether we're going to have another game, a game number 3 here in this semi-final. So we are getting back into this. Let's get going.
All right, so Dinh-Kha, of course. Now, you should take a second and refocus. Okay, he has planned something, so he's just going to immediately activate the flashing fire 1 second after they were told to play again. But I mean, I understand it because there was quite some time to think about your next moves.
I'm assuming like Dinh-Kha's got his entire turn mapped out here.
But this is pretty interesting because we decided to use that flashing fire after the destruction. So we could have gotten the destruction to the graveyard as well, but we decided not to do so.
I've got to keep in mind the dimension shifter that Tom activated.
Oh,
although it was a very long time ago.
True, there was one more thing that is still active. There is actually a dimension shifter. You're very right about that.
So definitely worth chaining here for Tom, because obviously the Runick flashing fire is going to get banished, but if you use the effective Arise Heart, then you get to banish the Runick flashing fire face down and trigger the Diabolos effect once again.
Taking even more resources out of the main deck.
There'll be tons of cards.
And we are going to see the Theosis, detached Theosis, being banished now, and it will trigger after that. So basically, you're having a bad trade on Dinh-Kha's side, but you're getting rid of the Arise Heart.
Yeah,
it's a good trade if you get rid of the Arise Heart.
But you get the Theosis add back. So you're investing one card,
yeah.
and basically there is still one card on Tom's side.
And so, what are we triggering? We're for sure, and certainly are going to trigger the Mind Hacker here, but also, of course, there was a Theosis being banished, and therefore we could add back something else.
Very important, go for Theosis on Chainlink too, because otherwise Gala could be a deal breaker here.
Also very important, it's very easy to get very excited when you're triggering effects just to I'll add this for Theosis. And he just made sure to just tap the Diabolosis first and say, I'm going to use this effect, and then I'm going to resolve my Kashtira Theosis. Otherwise, you would miss the timing.
That is a lot of the main deck of Dinh-Kha Bui now being gone through the effect of the Mind Hacker. And by now, maybe a full engine out of his 3 engines is not available to him anymore.
Dinh-Kha, having a look, I don't know if you can fully absorb all of that information in one go.
I think he can. Honestly, this man, he can do it.
Just scans it now. He knows exactly what's left in his deck.
I was typing in Dinh-Kha Bui into our card highlight tool because I was getting confused for a second.
There's already a picture of him on the screen.
So what's next? Normal summon of Rex. And then we have a level 2 monster on the board, which makes us able to special summon out the blue from our hand.
So what's his plan? This is another real test of Dinh-Kha's skill, because he's lost half of his deck, he's under Dimension Shifter. What can he achieve?
No battle phase.
No battle phase. He's got 3 arms tied behind his back. I don't know what the third one came from, but...
The most difficult part is, of course, I cannot count Dinh-Kha Bui's deck right now, but if he does not get rid of this Diablos, next turn it's going to take another card from the extra deck and then almost deck out Dinh-Kha Bui.
At that point, it feels like it would already be too much. There are so many cards being banished already. I don't even know whether you could actually activate the effect of the Diabolosis to do a lot more there. Ooh, we're now going to special summon with freezing curses.
I think there are 14 cards banished.
If
Face
you did
down.
the quick math there, then sure, I will believe
So there
you.
were 8 after the first turn, right? And then 8. One from the extra deck and 7 from the deck.
Yeah, then 9 through a Rysart, and then another 9 from the Diablosis. So it should be 18.
18, and then -1, I suppose, 17 from the deck.
You're very unlikely to resolve another one.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are specialing out the Hagen, but we're not going to use it, maybe indicating that there is no Runick Fountain anymore in the deck.
Oh, that would be huge.
Or he'd rather a card in his hand. I mean, what's Runick Fountain going to do? You've got no Runicks anywhere near the graveyard, so he may prefer the card in his hand, even if he had a Runick Fountain.
Yeah, true.
He could just have a Runick Fountain in his hand.
That could also very well be the case, but I mean, honestly, we didn't even expect Dinh-Kha Bui to get to 4 monsters on his side of the field, so maybe he's just trying to link up into an access code talker or something here. I know he was playing that card, but he's actually not playing that card anymore right now, as I just see it.
I mean, Access Code Talker in a Runick strategy seems kind of odd sometimes. I mean, of course, there will be moments where you can use it, but I mean, you are still under the Runick battle phase restrictions, so...
Yeah, I mean, you could out the entire board, but it actually doesn't, because there are no cards in the graveyard to banish for the Access Code Talker.
That is also true, and we are getting rid of the Birth. That could possibly banish more cards from the graveyard where there are none.
Nightmare Phoenix, a blast from the past. I so rarely see its effect activate when it's co-linked to draw a card. Also says co-linked monsters, or is it co-linked nightmare monsters? I think it's just co-linked monsters.
Monsters.
But, okay, co-linked. So nice protection, even though he can't necessarily deal with the Diablosis this turn. He can put up some monsters that are at least slightly difficult for Tom to get around, although not that difficult as long as he has
Okay, they both clarified how many banished cards there are for Dinh-Kha Bui and whether that effect of Diablosis could still resolve, and then it goes over to Tom Kleinegräber again.
If it could resolve, that would just be devastating.
Oh, yeah.
That would just leave Dinh-Kha on like very, very few cards.
Now Dinh-Kha will have to find something to play with. There is always the option to just attack and go into Zeus, get rid of the field, because this Donner would be threatening the Zeus immediately. But if you don't have Birth, then it's going to be a tough time for you to get out another play, basically, because you have nothing you can special summon from the hand.
Yeah.
He has at least the one Kashtira card. I can't remember what he added when he used it during Dinh-Kha's last turn, but he added a card.
scared by
Oh,
Kashtira.
that is huge!
I mean, in that case, you have to banish from your hand, and he has to get rid of a Kashtira Fenrir from his hand, but that will, of course, play around the battle protection from Nightmare Phoenix, so we are outing that Phoenix, and we're going to run over the Donner as well in a second.
Very clever here. Again, if you weren't so familiar, you might just be like, yeah, Kashtira can attack over Phoenix, but Phoenix can't be destroyed by battle, but then Scareclaw negates its effect. Like,
yes, it's a back and forth between those
it's a back
two.
and forth, but then at the end of the day, nothing really. He just attacked it as if it were a normal monster.
Oh, but look at that. Some people forget about that effect, but there is a second effect of the Mind Checker. When it destroys a monster by battle at the end of the battle phase, you can just banish one card from the opponent's graveyard face down, which is just what he did. And there comes the Zeus we were also anticipating.
And after we have seen the Nightmare Phoenix, we are summoning the Zeus, of course, in the extra monster zone, so it is protected from its brother, the Nightmare Cerberus.
Yes, indeed. So, Dinh-Kha Bui, one more time, being put on the spot here. Does he have an answer to this field as well? Because in the first turn, he worked through that board from Tom Kleinegräber quite well, even though he was under Dimension Shifter and under a Rysart. So, still very, very strong stuff there from Ka.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see if he can do anything, and it looks like he just passed. So Tom only needing to
500 damage?
500 extra damage. I don't know if he can do 500 extra damage, because all of the Kashtira monsters require you to have an empty field.
Except for Rysart.
Except for a Rysart.
But there is the battle phase. Dinh-Kha Bui is going to get one more turn as it's going back to him with 500 life points left. And does he find the answer here to get back into his game number 2?
He couldn't even activate Vampire Retainer or Familiar, so this is a really tough spot for him. Now, it is all coming down to this. Are we going to see a game 3, or will Dinh-Kha find a miracle way to get back into this game?
So it looks like we are going to normal summon out the Donpa. Marksman for hire.
So allow him to special summon another for hire monster from his hand.
Yeah.
And then it will trigger its effect to destroy a card.
Ooh, we're specialing out the Rex, and now immediately the effect of Donpar is activating, trying to destroy the Zeus.
Oh, and Rex is the perfect card here, because if you chain the Zeus, Rex still has a graveyard effect.
If you surely you don't chain the Zeus here.
I mean, that
You'd
would
end up
leave
with
you
no field, and your
no
opponent.
field at all.
I mean, your opponent would have no field, but I would rather keep my 3 cards probably.
Oh, yeah, okay. We are letting that resolve.
I mean, now you're giving...
Oh, Zeus is
Wait,
resolving.
he did actually activate the Zeus there. So there's nothing left on the board, but Dinh-Kha Bui with 500 life points, and we draw into the Fenrir, making this a game for Tom Kleinegräber, equaling the score here in top 4.
Wow, that was really down to the last card that Tom was drawing. He couldn't give his opponent the chance to play with the for hire monsters, of course. You're targeting the Zeus, but the Zeus, it just has to happen here. And then he just needed this one monster as a top deck. Fenrir, attack, game.
I feel like Kashtira so often are in this situation where you just think, no board, no cards, I just need one Kashtira monster, and then here we go.
He got it. He got that Fenrir from the top, being able to knock out the last life points by Dinh-Kha Bui. And so that will bring us a game number 3 here in our semi-finals. And what are we expected to see here? Something pretty interesting in the side deck of Dinh-Kha Bui is the possibility of adding up on Sprite cards. He's actually only playing 1 Sprite Jet in the main deck, but he plays 2 more in the side deck. And then also, you asked me that earlier, he's siding in Sprite Smashers as well. So
yeah, not because he's
cool.
playing Springans.
Probably not, though. So that is something, this is a really interesting looking side deck, because also we are siding into Wiz, the Sage for hire. So we are adding more and more engine with our side deck, because that's usually not the approach. Normally with your side deck, you're trying to find the non-engine card to beat different matchups, but he's just adding up on engine.
Yeah, very rarely people will side in like 1 card, so like the branded strategy will side in something that they can search, the gimmick puppet. But in this case, we're just siding in a full extra engine.
Also really irrelevant in this matchup, but really cool in others because Sprite was so popular. We're siding in Thunder King Ryo as well, because if you just end up in a mirror match or in a match versus Sprite, because this is clearly not a Sprite deck.
Not really.
If you're ending on a Mannequin Cat, you can actually capitalize off your opponent going for blue or gigantic or whatever, and just special summon as Chainlink 2 with Mannequin Cat a Thunder King Ryo. So none of the effects can resolve.
Do you expect this card to come in here
Absolutely
in this matchup?
Not.
All right,
It would be really good on the field because your opponent can't search anymore, but there's no way of summoning it unless you normal summon
one
it.
more card which is specifically designed to be sided in going first versus the Kashtira matchup, and it is the Grave of the Super Ancient Organism. Such an old card, but such a powerful card in this matchup as well, and I definitely think this card is going to find its way into the main deck of Dinh-Kha Bui here.
I was just going to say, it's another old card that somehow Kashtira has dragged up into relevance. It's amazing what this deck has done.
Yeah, absolutely. So many of them.
I even saw somebody run Light Force Sword.
Oh, that was a thing. Yeah, I don't think any of the players still in competition are doing that, but it is definitely something you could consider for sure. So, what else would there be? I mean, for Tom, on the other hand, of course, we're trying to draw into that Dimension Shifter again.
Oh,
yes,
definitely.
that one proved to be really effective against both of those strategies.
Certainly is. Then that Harpy's Feather Duster looks good to me. I think that one Lightning Storm. And of course, it's all those one-offs because we're also playing Triple Tactics Thrust.
Don't forget about Ghost Spell. You can first of all deny the draw 3 of Runick Fountain because it requires shuffling back the spell cards, or not shuffling, but putting them under the deck.
Yeah.
And also you can negate the Rex effect and probably some
Can you
other
negate
effects.
Mayhem for hire, or is that only summoning from the deck?
I think it's only from the deck, as far as I remember.
Oh, that's Mayhem. Oh, no,
it's
I
summoning from the
misled you.
graveyard.
Yeah, but it's
no,
not-
the
it's not
card's Rookie
Mayhem.
for hire.
Exactly, yeah.
I got the wrong name. My
It is
apologies.
Rookie.
Thank you.
But it does look like the players are
And
awaiting us. They want to play this game 3 here out in top 4. We want to find out who's going to be our first finalist of YCS London 2023 here. So let's get back into the playing action. Game number 3 coming up now.
Rookie for hire can't be belled. Your question has been answered, but I think that Ghost Spell is still a reasonable side in here, going second. Kashtira is so good going second, but against this for hire first turn field that Dinh-Kha is putting up, you need a little bit more help.
I feel like when you see the first turn that Dinh-Kha put up the first time, you're probably going to side in all of the hand traps you can think of.
Just try to stop him somehow. But we're starting off as we did in game 1 with Fossil Dig into the Rex.
So do we think after he saw the Gamma in Dinh-Kha's deck in the first game, that he might, if he has Dimension Shift, to try and wait until there's a monster in play?
Yes, I would absolutely think so. I don't think we're getting Gamma here again. And there's a monster on board now for the moment, so that's helping. But there is the Dimension Shifter on side of Tom Kleinegräber. So he waited to not play into that Gamma, and that is huge here in game 3.
Tom, please.
Oh, I was going to say, I thought that was a really smart play. That's why I mentioned it before. I was like, this seems like a really clever thing to do. You really need to resolve your Dimension Shifter. So this is the best way of doing that when you've already seen a Gamma.
And I think sometimes people are playing around cards like Triple Tactic Talents, so they don't really want to use their shifter in the main phase. But Dinh-Kha Bui, he's playing 3 engines in his main deck, so the space for non-engine cards like Talent is really limited. So I think it definitely makes sense to take that trade and just do it in the main phase here.
But now there is still a really good option for Dinh-Kha Bui, something that Sprite players have been doing for a long time, going for the good old Mannequin Cat, special summoning out the shifter. I mean, we have had blue in hand as well, but this would be a way to special summon out blue from the deck by going Mannequin Cat, special summoning out the shifter. Of course, also giving your opponent 1 more card on the field, so that you can't special summon out the Kashtira.
Yeah, but which is good versus Kashtira, exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, that means you can then special summon out Jet instead, and now with the blue, you could just search for red or carrot. So that's actually really powerful of a play there. I can definitely see that coming down here.
Yeah, having that blue seems a really helpful extra thing under this shifter to be able to at least set up some interruption for your opponent.
Yeah, this is the engine that plays the best under shifter, the Sprite engine, compared to the For Hire and the Runick engine. So it's definitely good that he has access to it here.
And there is the red.
No, I really like this because this is where we get to see our players really have to think on the fly, because Dinh-Kha's presumably been doing this For Hire combo all weekend.
Yes.
But now he has to think, what's the best thing I can do against my Kashtira opponent under a Dimension Shifter with the cards I've got?
And look, it is the Mannequin Cat coming down. And does Tom have an answer to that?
In defense position, so you can't crash into it with the Dimensional Shifter. But the interesting part here is, will there be a Gamma from Tom's side? Because that one would be quite crucial.
Oh,
you know what I think would be really funny is if he had another Dimension Shifter for next time.
I mean, you can't activate it because there's already a card engraved.
Ah, but he's about to take the Dimension Shifter out.
Oh, but there is a Gamma on the
wow.
Mannequin Cat. So that was planned out perfectly by Dinh-Kha Bui, but it is answered with an also powerful Psy-Frame Gear Gamma by Tom Kleinegräber.
This is not gigantic, Sprite. You have the red, so you can negate the Gamma and destroy it, and Mannequin Cat will still resolve, but you cannot special summon something out from the deck, so no Jet here. There are drawbacks to Dinh-Kha Bui's play here, but there is still the shifter. It all comes down to Tom Kleinegräber's birth in hand or not, but there's also another card that I can see in the hand of Dinh-Kha Bui, and it is the Ancient Organism.
That's strong.
Wow.
2 cards being added to the back row.
We might see a really grindy game here with both players having the ideal opportunity to interrupt their
Oh,
opponents.
but that's a strong start right there from Tom Kleinegräber. He could dig for cards now, such as Harpy's Feather Duster, and get rid of that back row there.
Prod of Prosperity is basically, sometimes it feels like search for any card in your entire deck, right? Because excavating 6 cards, the chances of hitting cards you want is incredibly high, especially if you haven't drawn them already.
So what are we finding? That doesn't look too powerful to me at all. I mean, there is the Rysart. You could normal summon the Rysart, which would enable you to go into Donner while playing versus For Hire, which would be quite funny.
I like Tom just double-checking Dimension Shifter has 6 stars.
Oh, it would be also good to go into Baron here.
Very hopeful, being like, oh yeah, now maybe it's got 7. All this time, no one's tried to use it before, but I could figure it out in this semi-final feature match for the first time.
You know what card would be crazy here? Virtual World Shen Shen, one of Bassy's favorites.
Look at that. There is the normal summon of the Rysart. And does Dinh-Kha Bui answer that in any way?
Tom does seem to have his own For Hire card to use, his own copy of Donner Dagger For Hire, so that will let him clear the Dimension Shifter.
I must say, For Hires are really dominant this tournament.
Yeah. Nobody saw that coming, right? So we are reading up on the Kashtira Rysart there.
So the special summon effect, I believe, of Rysart is the one that locks you into XYZ summon.
Absolutely. So very smart play there by Tom, just banishing the unicorn.
It kind of sounds like there would be a birth in hand.
Yeah, and that would be so strong right here. That would be really, really, really powerful. The thing is, yeah, okay. That birth is really needed because you can't really afford to give Dinh-Kha Bui another turn. There's Donner effect on the Sprite Rat. That is resolving. Empty board again for the Kashtira player. Special summon Kashtira Fenrir. That is strong again, but there.
Organism,
It's
and the
organism.
organism is shutting down everything that this Fenrir could do. Search something? No. Attack? No. You're just sitting there now with your Fenrir and it's not looking that scary anymore.
But is there the
Oh,
birth?
there's also birth, and that will enable us to do some exceed plays. And Grave of the Super Ancient Organism doesn't do anything to rank 7s.
Grave of the Super Ancient Organism, such an old card.
Yeah, it didn't
was
even
before
know
ranks.
about ranked monsters.
Imagine a Grave of the Super Ancient Organism thinking that monsters could not have a level.
Yeah. So exactly what Tom is doing here. He is using his ability to XYZ summon into Kashtira Shangri-Ira right there.
Do we
In
think
attack position.
this is just to attack, to possibly summon a Zeus in main phase 2?
Yeah.
I think it very well might be.
But it's super interesting that he decides to go for the Shangri-Ira with only 6 minutes left on the clock. He's not dealing any damage here to his opponent, but potentially...
This plays around. Flashing fire.
That was what I was going to suggest. One of the nice things about Shangri-Ira is it can't be destroyed.
That is actually super smart there by Tom, not gonna lie. On the other hand, if you go for Zeus then, that Zeus is going to lose out to the
But
flashing
you're
fire.
going to get rid of the most important card in the game right now,
Yeah,
which
true.
is the Super Ancient
Fair enough,
Organism.
fair enough.
Unfortunately, you're also going to lose your Kashtira birth in the process, but we're waiting for something.
Yeah, and I mean, Tom is okay right now. He's not behind on life points.
Exactly.
He didn't need to get ahead there, so that's kind of nice. And there is the most powerful for hire monster there is. There is Beat, the Bladesman for hire, and it is being tributed for Rookie for hire.
This is where Dinh-Kha has a good advantage, I think, because Tom probably doesn't know where to interrupt his opponent.
Indeed, true.
I mean, the last time he used Zeus on 2 for higher monsters, he just won basically on the spot after a top deck. So there is a good chance that he might...
Wow, there's another Sprite Blue coming down. We got a level 2 monster. Now we have Sprite Blue on the field as well. This is strong stuff. After having 2 so more or less one-sided games in game 1 and game 2, this is really coming down to the wire, going back and forth.
And he will have to chain the Zeus here if Dinh-Kha Bui decided to side in the Sprite Smashers, because if he waits for it, then... Oh, wait. Oh, doesn't really matter.
He can
to be
still
honest,
side.
Yeah, you can
still
chain... Yeah.
He goes
Chain
for
the
starter.
Zeus,
Chain the Zeus to... Did he get a starter?
Yes,
Yeah, he got
did
a
get
starter. Does he run 2 reds?
No, he
So
does
the
not.
first red is just sided out.
That would be interesting because it's quite threatening, and Tom has to decide whether he's willing to take that risk that Dinh-Kha has another red if he activates the Sprite starter.
But I mean, if Dinh-Kha gets Tom to activate the Zeus, he still has the graveyard effect of Rex Fright for hire and has the starter.
Exactly, so probably not so
I
wise.
think we may as well just link climb here. Look, there's Donner, and Donner would then again give us 2 for hire monsters from our graveyard. And there is, as I just said, the most powerful for hire there is in there. There is the good old Beat. Arguably, Beat and Rex are both pretty strong, but Beat is definitely something that surges from the deck.
I think if you're Tom now, you have to activate the Zeus. Because if Dinh-Kha wanted to destroy the Zeus, he could destroy the Zeus. So why wouldn't you activate it now? You know, if Dinh-Kha cared about the Zeus, he would destroy it.
Yeah, certainly. So, the Donner. Is he going to do something about the Donner or not?
I mean, Tom also has 1 face-down card. I don't know if we know which one it is. It must not be an impermanence, because it would have been set to the column of the Ancient Organism, right?
Oh, it is an
It is an
impermanence.
impermanence.
Never mind.
Very interesting. Okay.
There comes the impermanence onto the Donner. And does that stop Dinh-Kha Bui? Oh, there's Rax being activated as well, adding back the Beat, special summoning the Beat.
This is again where the fear of the unknown might come into play for Tom, because he's got this Zeus, he's got to know when to activate it, but it's very difficult to know when the best time to activate Zeus is when you don't know what your opponent's deck is capable of.
Oh, but it looks like he's strongly considering using it here, and that is indeed what's happening. The whole field is gone except that one Zeus in the extra monster zone. And does Din have something to follow this up?
He has a Sprite starter. Usually that is quite the perfect starter, but you're only going to be able to summon a carrot out. We have used blue, we have used Jet this turn. Okay, we can just summon out blue and not activate the effect, just to have it as a body. But we have the carrot hard drawn! This is going to be another extender, and Dinh-Kha actually has some plays here. Can he set up a field that beats the Zeus in defense position, or possibly a top deck of a Birth?
There is the Gigantic coming down, and also only a little bit over 2 minutes left, and that Sprite starter, of course, lost us 1,100 life points. So now Dinh-Kha Bui, being on the clock, he has to come up with something here, and it has to be quick. There's Rex coming out from the extra deck, so again, access to our for hire engine.
Interestingly, Dinh-Kha's not used the effect to summon from the graveyard of Donna for hire this turn, so
yeah,
he could go into that now because he has a for hire. Oh, he doesn't even need a for hire monster.
Oh, but that is all. He just passed it back over to Tom. We were so excited, but now the Zeus runs over the Gigantic. And we
Tom
just put
has
another Zeus!
The second Zeus is supposed to seal the deal here for Tom. He wants to reach the finals finally.
And there's
he
Birth
has
from the top as
Kashtira
well!
Birth! I cannot believe this. I think Dinh-Kha just drew for turn and passed, and now we have the Fenrir here. Tom is in the driver's seat, and that is the handshake! Tom Kleinegräber, for the first time in his life, reaches the final of a YCS!
What a game, what a match! Tom Kleinegräber overcomes the disadvantage of going second there in Game 3, and he will be playing, as you just said, his first YCS final of his life. What a match, wow.
What a well-played game from both players there. Like
And
playing
also,
around with the Zeus against an unknown deck.
Also, in the end, the speed of play, right?
Yeah.
They were both exactly knowing what was going on, just passing it back and forth. And in the end, Tom Kleinegräber being the one that comes out on top.
This man has tried it so often. This man has topped countless YCSs and Euros and Nationals and YCSs again and Euros again. This man is just one match away from a win.